Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Dr. Glenn Vo, and I am super excited to really introduce these two guys from CareCru. I have Terry, the VP of Sales, and also Mark, the VP of Marketing. They think so highly of. They sent two VPs here. What's up, guys?
How you doing, Dr. Vu?
Man, I'm super excited because here's the thing: CareCru is like I like to call it dentistry's best kept secret, right? Like you guys are like up in Canada and now you're making your inroads down here into the States. And all the things I've heard about what you guys do is really going to revolutionize dentistry. But before we go any further, I kind of want to introduce you guys to the group. So we'll start with you, Terry, and then we'll go to you, Mark. So Terry, tell us about your background in dentistry and what drew you to CareCru, and then Mark, the same question. So Terry, you first.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I was with Straumann for the past 8 years as an executive there, and I had a chance to do a pilot program with CareCru. And being in dentistry and being on that side of things, I saw the business side of all the challenges and struggles that dentists dealt with, and listening to the value propositions that CareCru had for our customers at Straumann, it was a calling for me to say, this is the side of business I need to be on. And technology and COVID, the Black Swan event, really changed our trajectory of everything. So I made that change about 6 weeks ago. So I'm relatively fresh here at CareCru. I'm really excited about it.
I love it. I love it. And then Mark, what's your journey as far as CareCru goes? And I mean, how did you get into wanting to work with people like me, a dentist? Talk about your story there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm one of the co-founders at CareCru. We started the company about 5 years ago now. Before that, I had been working in the marketing agency world. So I built a digital marketing agency that specialized in conversion optimization, user experience. And yeah, I came across one of my other co-founders, Lonnie McLean, and knew that he was starting something in the dental space. And I knew I wanted to do something where I could go deep in healthcare and provide efficiencies and productivity for these practices to make their lives easier and to make them more productive. And we thought we could really help. We did spent a lot of time early on in the research phase, and knew that there was something there when we started to drive incremental value with each new solution that we provided. And so we knew we were onto something, and we just doubled down. And the last 5 years have been a blast. So.
I love it. I love it. And everyone that I've talked to that has worked with you guys has said such great things. But you know what? Enough talk from me. I actually told Mark, let's just go do like a virtual demo to show all the members in Nifty Thrifty what CareCru is all about and why it's something you got to really think about getting into your practice. So Mark, I want to give you the stage here, and let's rock and roll.
Let's do it. Okay.
And guys, just to let you know, while we're doing the demo, I'm actually looking at my other screen over here. If you have any questions, just ping me and I'll ask Mark, and I'll ask Terry as well. And then, also type in the comments as well. Now, we may be I might be just kind of entranced with this whole presentation. So I might not see all your comments. So go ahead and message me. But if I miss it, I promise I'll hit up Mark. I'll hit up Terry, make sure your questions are answered. Okay, Mark.
Excellent. So when we started CareCru, we had a mission to allow practices to do more with less effort. We wanted to provide that assistant because we know that they're extremely busy, especially in the front office. And especially as you grow, you become more busier. So it kind of works against you. So we're trying to, grow the practice, but we know that comes with issues around efficiency and productivity. And so we knew that there was an opportunity there to help, and that's really our goal is to allow the practice to do more with less effort. So there was a 2021 survey conducted by Dental Post. It's one of the most comprehensive surveys of its kind in this space. They had about 11,000 respondents, and really what became apparent is that the single biggest problem today in dental is employee retention and recruiting. And I'll just spell off some stats for you here. 36% of dentists are being compensated less now versus pre-COVID-19. PPE is causing costs to soar right now at an incredible rate. 11% of dental professionals are working more hours and being compensated less than pre-COVID-19. And 1/3 of all front office employees under 55 say they plan to seek new employment. This one was one of the most alarming stats that I saw. Is 1/3 of really all front office employees are going to be looking for a new job as of next year. So in summary, what does that mean? Front office teams need help. They need a lot of help around the front office, and they're having a difficult time maintaining good employee culture, and you have to maintain a great culture in the front office if you want your patients to have that same experience. And so our goal is really to provide help around the front office to remove to some of those mundane tasks and be able to allow practice to focus on higher level activities and focus their efforts on patient experience and things that are going to effectively change the front office and that patient experience. So what is CareCru? CareCru is really centered around Donna. Donna is our virtual practice assistant, and Donna allows the practices to do more with less effort. The easiest way to understand what Donna does is really through these 3 core areas. So the first is by revealing the health of the practices. The second is by intelligently completing redundant tasks. So removing some of those mundane, tedious tasks that nobody likes to do, and allowing the staff to focus on higher value items. And the third is by boosting team productivity. So a task that would normally take 10 to 15 steps can now be reduced down to 2 with strong UX, and I'll get into exactly how we do that here, but we allow the practices to complete their tasks in a fraction of the time. So just a couple of case studies before we get into the product itself. This is a practice that we're working with, Dr. Ed Lowe's practice based out of Vancouver, BC. When we implemented CareCru, you see a direct increase in new patient growth as soon as we started working with them. It was about 35% increase in new patient growth. This is another practice that we're working with that we were able to increase their revenue by 13.79%. And this really came through a few different initiatives. The first was reducing broken appointments by roughly 20%. So here's a chart of exactly how that was lowered. You can see the reduction come right as soon as CareCru was implemented. And so we reduced their broken appointments from 12% to 7%. Well, you might think that that's not a whole lot, but that in total saved the practice roughly $19,000 per month, and contributed directly to their bottom line. We were able to double their new patients. 12 of those new patients came in through online scheduling. And we delivered 56 5-star reviews in that 6-month period, where we increased their average star reviews from 3.7 to 4.7. And it's really important to note that it's not just about the total stars or even the average stars that your practice has. I mean, I had one practice call me and say, "Hey, I got like 5-star reviews, and I want you to turn it off because I don't want it to like lower my number. I got a perfect score right now." And so they didn't want to get any more, to solicit any more reviews because they had a perfect score. And that's not really the way Google works. Google is looking for frequency. So every time a patient leaves a 5-star review, that's a vote for Google. Google is looking. So when someone types in "dentist near me," right? And Google has millions of websites that they need to quickly index and see, who they should display first. Well, reviews are one of the ways that Google looks at. It's one of the most prominent ways that they look at to decide who gets that top spot or that second spot or third spot. And it's not just, oh, they have a 5-star review. It's every month, this practice is getting 20, 30, 50 5-star Google reviews from patients. Something's going right there. So next time a patient searches for "dentist near me," I'm going to direct them to this practice, right? And so that's the importance and the value of reviews. And I'll walk you through how we do that and ask every patient for a Google star review after the appointment. Some of the results or practices you'll typically see: an increase in new patients, obviously increase in production, a reduction in broken appointments, 8 to 15 5-star Google reviews per month. We've had practices see up to 50 5-star Google reviews every month. And all of that, you would normally think, okay, well, that's just going to cause more work for my front office team. In order to get this level of results, my team has to work incredibly hard around the clock to do that. But we're actually doing all this work, or driving all of this value while removing, shifting their focus so they don't actually have to do that work. So we're getting those results with less work.
Is this through like automation, or I got a ton of questions that are already been popping up here, and I'm just waiting for a stopping point. But is this some of the questions is this through automation? Is this like an outsource to like a virtual team, or like how are you doing all these things? And I'm sure you're about to get into it, but everyone's wondering how you're doing this.
Great question. That's a great question. The really what Donna does, these two core areas, right? So automating the front office workloads. So through automation, we can get a lot of stuff done in the background. So let's say we can automate, 75% of a specific workload, like recalls, for example. You have a list of 700 recalls that you need to make every single month. Well, Donna can take care of 550 of those, right? And then your team has, so that remaining balance, let's call it, of those 150 that your team needs to reach out to, we give you the tools to finish those tasks in a fraction of the time. So normally when you go into the practice management software, you need to look at the family file, you need to look at insurance, you need to look at clinical notes. You're between 10, 12 different screens. Well, we provide that information in one shot and tell you exactly the phone number that you need to reach out to, the family member, so you can get through those tasks in a fraction of the time. You can log that conversation, create a follow-up, and get through those tasks a lot faster. Great question.
I mean, again, it's everyone's, and also another question is this meant to help our existing staff, or is this going to cut out a staff member? I'm not sure. I'll look to see who it is. It might be a team member asking this question.
That's a great question. It is not in any way supposed to replace staff members. The issue that we're having today is we're seeing a lot of high turnover because some of these front office team members are working on tasks that they don't find challenging. They don't just feel repeatable.
Maybe they're overworked. Maybe because the team is smaller and they just have to do more and they need some help.
And really the way this was built and designed is so that it works alongside of your team. So we have certain practices that want to turn on full-blown automation, and they want 9 to 12 touch points for the recalls in a given month. We have other practices that want a little bit more personal touch, so you can turn the dial down and say, our practice is going to reach out the majority of the times, but we want that automation to work in between what we're doing and come, on the third touch point, 7th touch point, and 12th touch point. So there's ways to do both, and we just know, and we have some practices that, they might have someone leave for, a period of 3 months, 6 months, or so on, or they're short staffed for a shorter period of time, and they know they're going to come back to, being fully staffed again. They might turn on that automation a little bit higher during those periods, so that they're not left carrying the load. So it's really adjustable based on your practice's needs. That answer your question?
Oh yeah.
Okay, excellent, awesome. Okay, so in order for Donna to work, we integrate with the practice management software system. These are the 7 practice management software systems that we integrate with today. These are the ones that are coming soon. If you have a practice management software that you don't see on this list, definitely hit us up. We're building out those queues and working on a lot and building out that list, and we'll put it into our roadmap to build later. So one of the things that really differentiate us is the power of our connector and that API that connects with the practice management software system. We integrate, we sync at almost every 5 to 20 seconds. And with both read and write. So things like logging correspondence when a patient is reached out to. If you're, writing, leave a note in CareCru, that note will be seen in the practice management software. If a patient schedules online, that appointment is written in the schedule. So it's a seamless integration between the practice management software. So if you're working, one of the things that we kind of boast about is that, outside of text messaging and, approving online requests, you really could stay within your practice management software, and Donna is doing a lot of the work in the background. And that's the power, is that powerful two-way sync with both read and write. Okay, with that, let's get into the demo. Okay, excellent. So this is the CareCru platform. As you can see, when you log in, you get this display of billed production over the last 12 days. Down here, you see, you get a little
That's
dashboard.
a pretty nice looking dashboard, I have to say.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Here you get to see, so we have this feature, and this came out of really out of COVID, the COVID pandemic, where waiting rooms needed to be relooked at, right, and revisited in terms of how many people you could have at the waiting room. And so we created this feature on the fly where, with that 2-hour reminder that's sent out to the patient, we ask them to please, when they arrive, text here and just wait in their vehicle. When they text here, they show up in the virtual waiting room. And they're also sent the COVID-19 form for the screening form, so that they can fill that out. As soon as the operatory is clean, I can click cleaned, and I can check it off, and that will go away, and that will respond to the patient, letting them know that we're now ready to see you. Yeah.
Does the patient get like a text message saying we're ready for you to come into the office?
Exactly.
Do they get like? And all you had to do is just click that button.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and you can
wow.
actually customize it as well. So I could have actually, if I click re-notify, it would have, you can customize that message and just say, I'll take, you and Sally, and please have John and Dave, wait in the back, and we'll let them
I'm actually
know.
really impressed by that, because there's other platforms that I've demoed before, and it's almost like a text messaging kind of going back and forth. So you actually have to type to them like, hey, you can come up now. But literally you just click the button and it automatically notifies. I think that's pretty cool, pretty efficient there.
Thank you. Well, that's exactly it. We just understand how busy these front office teams are. And so we wanted to provide a really fast, easy solution, just make it, as seamless as possible for them to work with their patients. And so all of that is happening in the background with that 2-hour reminder that's already sent. So it automatically lets them know to text here when they arrive. And then when they arrive, you'll see that. So if I were to see 4 patients here, I would know there's 4 patients in the parking lot. Right. And it's just visually, you have a good grasp on exactly what's happening in your practice. These are the online appointment requests. So one of the things that we started out doing was online scheduling. We wanted to make sure that we got that right, because we wanted to provide patients a really easy way to schedule appointments with their dentist, whether after hours, weekends, and so on. Sometimes when the practice is not open, we wanted to give them a really easy way to schedule. And so this is the online scheduler. We place a little tab on the right-hand side. This anywhere you zoom on the website, you'll be able to see it right here. And I can click regular consultation. I can say no preference, and let's just say I click 18th. It's going to look for availabilities.
It is, and I noticed that there was different appointment types there. Like, is it customizable? Because again, different practices. I know, like Terry, you probably work with a lot of specialist office, and maybe they're doing a lot of surgery or they're doing certain things there. Can you customize that based on like what the practice niche is and what they like to have appointments for?
Yeah, you can absolutely customize that.
Okay.
So you can set the duration of each appointment, and then you can set which practitioners are assigned to it. So this was a regular consultation. I believe it was a regular consultation. Yeah, regular consultation. So those would be the doctors. If I wanted to just
can you, is there a certain limit of like appointment types you can add there?
No, you can add as many as you'd like. And so, yeah, if that was just a regular checkup and cleaning, it will show the hygienist. If it's a regular consultation, it'll show the dentist. It looks to the practice management software system in real time and pulls the available schedule. I can even join the wait list. So I don't know if you caught that there, but let's just say I go, it'll ask me if I want to join. So like, I just chose August 18th because sometimes practices are busy, right?
Yeah.
For 2 months.
Oh, I love that feature.
Yeah, I can join the wait list, say I'm available weekdays, weekday mornings are best for me. Click next, I sign up real quick, boom, and it's gonna pull all my information. I'm not gonna.
So I guess that gives the practice the ability of like, let's say the schedule falls apart and they can like just call this person because they're on the wait list. That is huge. That actually is totally different from anything else that's out there. Again, for those who are watching, you guys know who's out there, right? There's other companies that do that, but I don't think any of them do the waitlist option. That's actually pretty cool. In fact, I wish my favorite restaurant would have a waitlist option. I could be able to visit the restaurant more often. Terry, let me ask you this, because as someone who has a lot of experience in the dental field, and obviously you work with a lot of surgery centers, a lot of GPs who place implants, and I'm sure they are always telling you, they're like, oh man, like the front office is probably complaining stuff. How would have helped the practices that you were serving when you were working with Straumann, this type of software? How many practices, just off the top of your head? Because again, I'm sure you're always hearing it. Like the assistant's probably like, oh man, I got to go do this because, I need to order some implants, but I got all these other things. How does a product like this really help a practice out, and especially the team members?
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked a lot with the schedulers, the implant treatment coordinators, and they spent a lot of time confirming patients, filling the gaps in the schedule. And oftentimes my reps would give me calls and say, oh, well, they didn't get a chance to call me to order parts. We need to overnight stuff. They're stressed out. They're calling the day of surgeries. So having the time freed up just from these mundane tasks that just become repetitive over and over would have saved so much headache on the back end for not only the practice, but also for all the vendors that they work with as well. So it is a game changer. When I saw that, I knew that this was something that I really dive into more. And I introduced it to a lot of my Straumann users as well.
And you know what? How often? And again, this is for those who actually do a lot of surgery. But even if you don't do a lot of surgery, let's say you do like some kind of special procedure. Maybe you're doing Botox in your practice. Maybe you're doing TMJ therapy. All those different things. And sometimes you need like certain products to do your work, right? How often has this happened, Terry? Man, I got this patient, I got to do some implants, and you know what? I don't have a certain part, so now I got to reschedule them. How often did you hear something like that?
At least 5 times a week.
And you know what? If you think about that, guys, this is someone who's worked with Straumann for years, right? And he just said that he hears it a lot. Think about all the times that because your team is so spread thin, they didn't have a particular product and you had to reschedule. Think about the money you lose there, right? So CareCru not only takes away the all these tasks so they can focus on what's important, but actually that's an example right there how they actually could add production by your team not forgetting to order some crucial part, right? I don't know, like the actual implant. So anyways, sorry about going on off a tangent there, Mark. But again, I just wanted to tie this into the fact that this actually makes the team more productive and actually makes your existing team, their lives better. And if you make their lives better, what happens? They start making your life better, right? That's what it's all about. So Mark, I'll let you keep going here.
Yeah, no worries. No, it's a great point. To tie back to that and to make their lives easier, this is one of our most coveted features, is the wait list. And so as I mentioned earlier, we're allowing patients to opt in for their own wait list. So patients through your online scheduler are actually placing themselves on your wait list, and you can manually add patients too. So now if I have a last minute cancellation, so for tomorrow at 9 a.m., I can send a text message. I can even filter by practitioner. So if I want to, and I can filter by units, I can filter by days. So if the patient said I'm only available weekdays at 9 a.m. or weekday mornings, I can filter that really easily and then send a patient to send a text to these patients. We have some practices that, no joke, and this was one of the things of the startup, right? We limited, I believe, to about 100 patients. And we had practices that were building wait lists over 100, 150, 200, and they're like, we need more. So we quickly, jumped all over that and were able to expand that capacity.
So Mark, I have a question here. Okay, so let's say that, on my schedule, like I have a couple of openings, right? And I have these people on a wait list, and I said, okay, I want to send a text message out. How do we, who gets priority there? Or is it whoever responds first gets gets put into that spot? How does that work exactly?
So this is the pre-built text that we create for you. So it'll say, hello, it's Sunshine Smiles. We had an opening recently become available. Would you like us to schedule you in for this time? You can add something like, we're going to take it on a first come, first serve basis or so on. But typically, you would just send out this message. Most practices have had no issues sending out this text. And it's the same as if you called the patient, left a voicemail saying we had an opening available, and they called back 2 hours later, said they'll take it, we already had someone fill it. You just let them know really kindly that, that spot's already been taken, but you have another position availability, tomorrow at 10. So there's ways to do that, but at least the communication is happening, and that's where you're able to fill those positions more often. So yeah, this is all customizable. So if I wanted to change this time, I can easily do that. So if I wanted to do, it's actually for 4:30, boom, this updates in real time, and I can send that text message. That's going to blast, all the patients on that wait list that I had chosen. Okay. So that is the wait list feature. A couple more things I wanted to show here. We have two-way text messaging. The nice thing about our two-way text messaging is we have opened and closed conversations, meaning it don't just give you like 200 messages up here and you're like, which one should I be responding to? Who's been responding to? Who hasn't? As soon as I'm done responding to a patient, I can click close, and that patient is going to go into the closed folder. So I know I need to still address Dwayne. Terry's already been addressed. And if I accidentally, if I said, oh, I want to, reopen that and, assign it to someone else, I can do that. I can reopen it, come back to the open folder, and there's Terry again, right? So really easy to manage those conversations. Again, with a busy practice that has 5 people, 10 people in the front office, even 3 people in the front office, it's just really easy to manage those if you can see which ones are open and which ones are closed. So you can
how long do the closed messages just kind of stay there? Like how long? Because again, a lot of times this happens a lot in even my own office. Someone will say, well, I told the patient this. And then the patient comes in and says, you never told me that, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we're like, okay, who said what? And it could be like, it would be very helpful if I just go there and like, hey, look, you didn't say it. It's like right there, right? Like it's cool, but like, let's just make sure that we stay on top of it. How long does that stay there so that we can kind of go back and audit?
Forever. It stays there forever as long as you're with CareCru. And not just that, this is a perfect segue into the next point that I wanted to make, which is call tracking. So one of the things that we do is we place a little piece of code on your website to track all incoming calls. You can see where all those calls are coming from, like whether it's Google Paid, Google Organic, Facebook, Yelp. This is also a great way of keeping your marketing agency or your marketing team responsible and accountable for what they're doing. I'll show a report of that in just a minute. But to your point, if we recognize the phone number and that phone number exists in the practice management software, we link them right there. And so Zara, you can see is linked right here. I'm going to double click, and that entire phone call is saved here in their profile. So not just text messages we keep a record of, we also keep records of phone calls as well. So I can come back here, I can listen to the entire call, and I can use that for coaching. I can use that, to come back to the patient and just say that, we have, and all phone calls are, there's a little disclaimer at the beginning saying that this is pre-recorded.
So we just had the other day a company that does direct mail, and the way they actually track their campaigns, they use a specific number to track. And so if they're using a specific number, is there a way we can update this, and so that way we know, okay, they're calling from our direct mail phone number?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So we're able to create as many phone numbers as you need, up to 10, because you typically have much less than 10 campaigns at a given time. But we can create a phone number for your Yelp profile, for any email newsletter. We've run use it or lose it campaigns for our practice. So around every September, October, we'll reach out to our practices and say, hey, would you like to run this campaign? We'll help you build it. And that use it or lose it just basically says you have X amount of days left till you're to use your insurance. Would you like to book an appointment? You can click book appointment right there through the email or text and be sent to the online scheduler. But we also place a call tracking number there, and you can measure those calls really easily. Let me pull that report. This is back to what we're talking about in terms of tracking those calls and where those came from. This is one of the call tracking reports that we offer, and it supports multiple practices as well. So I can see I had 688 calls, 623 of those were picked up. So I had a 90% pickup rate. As a practice that, we want to get closer to the 95 area. But you can see all of that right here, but I can see where all of those calls came from. So was it the Invisalign campaign, the use it or lose it campaign, as I mentioned earlier? I can track all of that right here. I can see how many new patients came. But the beautiful thing about this, and coming from a marketing background, I thought, this was one of my favorite features, and I love, talking to marketing people about this. But like, you can, for the first time, you can see the actual delivered value of the service because it plugs into the practice management software. So typically a marketing agency will say, oh, we did a Google ad campaign or Facebook campaign. We got you X amount of clicks, X amount of visitors, maybe X amount of phone calls. But no one is really saying we generated $37,000 of revenue from the ledger in the practice management software that's tied to this campaign, right? That's the power of this.
I think that's really big too. Again, like for those who are just now tuning in, when Mark did his intro, he actually has been on the digital marketing space pretty much most of his adult life. Okay, that's what he was saying there. And this has always been like a battle between the front office. I wouldn't say the front, I would say the dental team and the marketing agency, right? Because the marketing agency is like, I'm sending you leads, right? The dental team is like, no, you're not. And it's like, yeah, I'm sending you lead. No, you're dropping the ball. No, you're dropping the ball. Well, now you actually have the data here to show you, right? There's no more finger pointing anymore, because again, it's like, here is all the calls that came from there, and this is what we generated. And I think that's super powerful, because again, that lets you hold whoever accountable, right? Let's say they're not picking up the phones really fast, or they're not picking up the phones. Okay, that means it's a coaching model with your team. Okay, maybe the ad agency, the digital marketing agency is like, I sent you a whole bunch of stuff. No, you didn't, man. I didn't get any calls. You know?
That's exactly right. And this is a great example of that, like the Invisalign Day campaign. We had 14 calls, but 9 of those were by non-patients, right? It only generated $550. A typical marketing agency will say, I got you 14 calls. Let's just assume that 80% of those translated into patients, at $500 an appointment, that equals, $10,000, whatever that is, right? And the fact is that we can see it right here exactly how much that generated in the ROI. So that's a really powerful feature as well. Any questions on this before I move on?
No, I mean, first of all, I mean, what you just showed me, that's money right there, right? Just this, but there's more though, right?
Yeah,
there's more, right? Okay.
There's definitely more. Yeah, absolutely. And, I mentioned earlier that we, one of the things that Donna does is reveal the health of the practice. So being able to see the reporting, which I'll get into in a minute. Then taking that and looking at, okay, what are the redundant areas that we can remove from the front office to allow them to focus on higher value activities. I just want to walk you through a little bit of what that looks like and what differentiates us from other, automation solutions that are out there. We built our automation and the reminders and recalls and reviews and what's coming in collections and treatment planning and so on to really drive an enhanced patient experience that drives results, right? And so what I mean by that is that every one of these messages are unique and personalized to the patient. They've been thoughtfully planned out and designed to understand, okay, what is the optimal amount of touch points that we need to convert a patient that's due for recalls? You'll see from typical consultants will say, you need anywhere between 15 to 20 touch points, right? To continue reaching out and to not give up on that patient until about, until they're inactive about 2 years after, right? And so we built that into the platform. So they'll reach out with a 1 month email and text message saying, let's keep that smile beautiful. You're due for your next cleaning. If I click this book appointment, I'm taken to the online scheduler. It's already selected the hygiene, the regular checkup and cleaning, and I can schedule that appointment right there. Another thing that's a major differentiator is that we look at the continuing care or the recall, the recall exam and hygiene intervals. And so we can know if a patient's due every 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, and we reach out accordingly. So not every patient gets a blanket 6 month fallback. Every patient is unique. For those patients that need to come in every 3 months, 4 months for perio, we're going to reach out to them, at the right time to get them scheduled. And so the wow factor is as soon as you plug this in, let's just say you have 600 patients that are overdue and late. The patients that fall within this touch point are going to get reached out to through text message and email. They, and the nice thing about this is that they can respond when they're ready. So they'll have that text message when they go home after work. They're like, oh yeah, I should book my cleaning. Click schedule appointment. They're taken to the online scheduler. They book that appointment. That appointment shows up in the schedule automatically, right? So without you having to have called anybody, you're literally watching appointments begin to fill up in the schedule. through Donna, right? And that's that power of automation where it's like full closed loop automation that handles everything from, which patient to reach out to at what time, following up with the patient, getting that patient scheduled, and then writing it back into the practice management software, including leaving in the correspondence.
Well, I think what's really powerful about this, and again, like I demoed a lot of software out in the industry, and most of the time it's they get a notification and then they have to call the office.
Exactly.
And they have to talk to someone.
Yeah.
So your team member has to pick up the phone and has to schedule it. What I love is that actually, if they just stay within this ecosystem, they probably don't even need to call you at all.
No, exactly.
They don't even need to call you, even to the point when they drive up in the parking lot. They don't even need to call you. You would send a message, right. and you would talk to someone when you actually saw their face, And I think that's pretty amazing for again, like for practices who are short on team members, or even where I see this is really powerful is if you're a startup practice and you're like bootstrapping things and it's like you and like maybe a couple other people and you're depending on them to help you assist and whatnot, this is a game changer for those practices.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even if you put yourself in the shoes of a patient, it's a much better experience, right? Like you instead of having to call that practice and you're playing phone tag because you can only have
well, let's test that. Hey, Mark, hey, Terry. So Terry, how often do you actually make a phone call as opposed to sending a text message?
I text all the time. And I'll share with you a story really quickly. I actually just changed dentists, and I went through 6 different ones on Google before I finally was able to schedule one really easily. Mm-hmm. It was, I'll call you back. It was no answer. They were at lunch. It was really taxing. And I have high demands on dentistry now because I've been in dentistry for so long. And so I look for certain things, but yeah, it was a nightmare to book for a new dentist.
I'm glad you brought that up because again, it's like whenever we're looking for a dentist, or think about it, anything else, a dentist or any other professional, or you're looking for a place to eat, right? And you go through there and you're like, oh, they're booked. What do? You don't just like, oh, okay, you know what? I think I'm just going to wait next week. No, you don't do that. You're like, no, let me find the next person because I want to go get it done today. And I love the fact that even if you're booked, right? Even if you're booked, this platform lets you still try to capture that patient. Like, let me put you on a wait list, right? Like, don't go yet, but let me put you on a wait list, as opposed to the other programs that are out there, which is like, it's shocking because you would think they would have that by now, and they don't. And so again, this is the only platform I've seen that allows you to the wait list. I think that is like a huge game changer right there.
Yeah. Sure. A couple more pieces to hit on. This is the reviews that we talked about earlier, the review requests. So at the end of every appointment, we're going to ask the patient how their visit went. And if they click 4 or 5 stars, they're given a nice big button to go onto Google. If they click 3 stars or below, we collect that feedback internally. There's still a link to Google, but we want to collect that feedback directly to the practice and then give the patient the option if they want to go publicly. Oftentimes, I know even for myself, I've had a bad experience with a service. I might not want to go publicly, but I would like to just let them know, hey, that wasn't the best experience, and see that.
Can the patient leave like specific feedback, like, hey, like I waited out in the waiting room a little bit too long? Like, is there somewhere they can type something in? Because I think that's super valuable.
That's exactly right. So if they click 3 stars or below, a little box opens up for that feedback, like you mentioned. If it's 4 stars or 5 stars, we want to get them to Google right away. And so that's what we've done. And again, our practices are averaging, anywhere between 12 to 50 5-star Google reviews every month. So this is what's happening in the background as that help. Again, this is all adjustable. Like even with our reminder system, we've had a lot of practices switch over from other solutions and just say, for whatever reason, yours just works. I don't know why, it just works. We know of other software systems that will, like, if the patient confirms it up here, they'll stop receiving another reminder. Ours will adjust. So now it's not asking for a confirmation, just sending a friendly reminder just to let them know, but we can adjust on the fly based on the patient's response. And then, for recalls, going back to this can be adjusted based on your team's workload. So if you want that full automation, you can turn on all the touch points and you're going to get great results. But if you want your team you have someone that's designated to manage all of those recalls and you want them to do, let's just say 50 to 100 calls a month, that's really easy to adjust. And so what we've created This is actually that Smart Recare performance report, which I'll get to in just a second. But this is a great example of what this is our Smart Recare list. And so what this does is it basically takes, let's just say you have 600 patients that are overdue for hygiene. This will condense it based on a certain criteria. So we can say, I don't want my front office team to reach out to the patient, at the first 5 intervals. I want Donna to reach out for the first 5 touch points. And then whatever Donna can't get through, if Donna's, ineffective or unsuccessful after 5 touch points, then I want my practice to reach out. So that allows my team to work smarter, not harder, right? So now instead of asking my team to reach out 18 times, they only have to reach out 5 times at the 0 to 1, 2 to 3, 6 to 7, and 12 to 13 touch points. And so this list, like again, going back to, sorry, where is this? There we go. So I have 603 patients that are overdue and late, but on my Smart Recare list, I need to reach out to 123. That's a lot more manageable as a front office team than just saying, hey, you need to reach out to these 600 patients every single month. It's like it never ends, right? I want Donna to do a lot of that work, remove some of that workload, and then my team can work smarter. And so that's really the Smart Recare list. So then when I'm working through that list, I can see how many times Annalee's been reached out to. I can see what family members that they have right here. I can see what their personal phone numbers. I can see if this is the contact to reach out to. So it says not point of contact. So I'd go back to their family member and look for the point of contact to reach out to that person in the family. So basically, I'm going through my tasks and completing those tasks in a fraction of the time because I have all this information readily available. And I can drill down, I can look at their entire information, and then I can come here and log that recall. As soon as I log it, that I've reached out to Annalee, they'll be removed from the list. And now I go from 103 to 100 or 123 to 122. And that's how it works through my list. You can come here and see the dashboard in terms of how your due late patients contacted. So how many Donna's contacted, how many of the staff's contacted every month. I can see the list coverage from both. I can see how Donna's working alongside of the practice. And again, the goal is to help the practice. We just know that they're overloaded with changes. And again, with this whole pandemic, they're just finding a lot of them are exhausted and don't have the help that they need. And so this is really meant to provide that help. Yeah.
Does the platform allow you to see what your schedule looks like?
Yes. So
like, for example, if you have a scheduler and things are getting filled in and you just kind of want to look over there and say, okay, what's going on here? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So you can log in. Again, the nice thing about this is all cloud-based. So I can log in.
So that was going to be my next question. My next question was going to be, this looks like you can access it from any browser.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to download, like, let's say if you're at home. Let's say if I'm at home and I'm like, okay, I'm just kind of curious what's going on, and I want to remote in.
CareCru.com. You just log in, you're in, right? And so that is the nice thing. And we've actually, this is something that the PMS doesn't have, is you can look at it, you can view by chair view, which is typically how the practice management software, but we can actually show a practitioner view. So I can see the practitioner, I'm actually like stacked, the whole day. So I can see exactly when I have a little bit of space for
Can you access this on a mobile device?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
And I will tell you guys why this is super important. It doesn't happen very often, but once in a blue moon, right? Once in a blue moon, you won't have power or internet, right? And you're going to wish that you could see something and you can look at it off your phone. I think that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. So we covered a lot. There's so much more to cover. We won't get into all the details of everything. We do have reputation management where you're able to see, all of the reviews that are being said about you online from Facebook, Yelp, Google, RateMDs, all of that shows up in one place, and we coach your team and even how to respond. We help you with an SEO score. So giving you a listing score of what your SEO should be and where you're listed and where you're not, so you can improve that. We have a phenomenal customer success team that helps you onboard, train your team. We've done, large implementations and rolled out, this software into hundreds of practices in a matter of months, even with some of these larger DSOs. And so there's a lot more, especially in the reporting side that I can get into. I'd probably leave it for now. And what I'd like to do is direct everyone that is interested in a demo or in learning more about CareCru into getting a free demo, a personalized demo where they can ask questions and go through the software more in depth with our team members. And so is that a good time to do that?
Yeah. So again, like I would say this, like if you want to sign up for a demo, are they reaching out to Terry? Are we, Terry just came over Strawman. Are we just fun? Are we just sending everyone to Terry now?
Yeah. No, great question. We created a landing page. And so if you go to carecru.com/Nifty, you can sign up there. We have a landing page, and really the sign up is just more to schedule a free demo. There's no expectations at all, but you get to ask those questions and ask those personal questions for your practice, see if it fits your needs. If you sign up within the next, I believe it's the next 30 days, they'll give you free 2 months off Nifty.
Sweet, 2 months right there on CareCru.
Yeah. And Terry.
And actually, we actually have another question here. Actually, what is the normal cost for CareCru?
Yeah, so our product is modulated. So a lot of sometimes practices don't need everything we offer, and sometimes they need it all. So it can vary. Just like when a patient comes in to have care, how much does it cost to have care? We don't know, so we really do an analysis of it. But it could range over $200 to $600 a month. So it varies again depending upon what the needs are.
And that's really helpful, because again, like we get so many members who say like, I don't need this part. I really, I only want this. And so many companies, they just say, well, this is the package. You got to take it all, whether you use it or not. And so that's really helpful that CareCru is like flexible to where, but I can tell you right now, like based on what I saw, I would want almost everything there.
For sure.
Again, when we talk about what you're spending, right? When you're spending, think about how much time you're saving. The fact that the CareCru platform allows your patient to do everything in their platform without even you guys calling them. I mean, I don't know about you, but when the phones are ringing, it's hard for my team to do stuff. They're on the phone, they want to answer the phone, and then there might be a patient just standing right in front of them. What are you going to do? Just, you put them on hold, they get those people mad, they might go somewhere else. But this kind of gives the power to the patient to kind of do it by themselves. And again, whenever I look at that scheduler, I think about whenever I make a reservation, right? Most of you guys use Open Table, right? Someone has Open Table, I'm going to eat at that place. You don't have Open Table, I'm not going to call you, man. I'm just going to go to somewhere else so I can book my reservation. It's the same thing in dentistry, right? You have these things, you make it easier. Patient's going to want to go to you as opposed to someone where Terry was trying to make an appointment. He was calling and put him on hold, tell him that he's an appointment. He just went to somewhere else. If you have this, think about being able to capture that patient before they leave. So that's what I love about it.
I always like to say, if they can book a hotel or book a flight online, they can book their dental appointment as well.
I love that. So you go to this landing page, sign up for the free demo. Again, ask all the questions. Hopefully we went over a lot, but there's so much more there. Again, make sure you ask for Terry. Let's put him to work, get the demo, see if Terry will do it. No, I'm joking. He's got an amazing team that he can help you out there. And again, of course, 2 free months right there. I love it. Okay. Well, Mark, thank you so much for jumping on. And Terry, thank you so much as well. And guys, we'll put this put this link in the comments section. And again, the guys at CareCru are part of our community. So feel free to reach them out. If you want to direct message them, I'm probably put their handle in the comments as well. You can reach out to them as well. So before we jump off, Mark, anything you want to say to the community before we stop the live stream?
No, we're excited to work with you guys. Our goal is to remove some of that workload from the front office. We also have a whole reporting suite we didn't get too deep into. So if you are managing multiple practices or you're more at the management level, would love to chat with you guys, schedule a demo. We'll go more in depth into some of the reporting, and we can report on some of those multiple practices across practice management software systems. So if that's of interest to you, definitely reach out, and we look forward to working with you.
Awesome. Mark, Terry, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.